Yo, what's going on YouTube? Today I wanted to talk about potential cons we could see in Black Ops 6. These are things I haven't really heard many people talk about that I wanted to address, things that they didn't cover in the keynote. Hopefully come August 28th we'll learn more, hopefully before then we'll know more. But these are just some things that hopefully they establish better in the future. Because right now everything looks good. Obviously they've thrown like the big main focuses on our face, and that's great. I think the appeal for like omni movement and everything in that aspect is brilliant. But here's some of the things I don't really seem to enjoy. So we talk about like obviously the omni movement, intelligent movement, like the sprint assist, the mantle assist, crouch assist, new hitboxes. I mean, these are three things that are huge. They talk about world connectivity, which honestly is like, it's like, oh, well, the world interacts with you, how you move, and I mean, that's great, you know, and they talked about like corner slicing where it auto like lean peaks, you know, you get to a corner and you kind of lean around it. I mean, that's stuff like that's cool. One thing we haven't heard anything about that was one of the worst issues of last year's Call of Duty is audio. I haven't heard the first mention of audio. I've heard more things about visuals and movement, which is awesome. It's really, really good. I'm not hating on that. But I haven't heard anything about audio. I mean, they even went on a limb to talk about like heads-up display optimization, which for me, that's big. I like that I'm able to move that mini map over, considering my monitors, you know, to be able to have like high display, high quality monitors at fast hertz. Usually they're 27 inches. I usually prefer a 24-inch monitor. I just feel like the 27s are a little big, but being able to move that might be a great thing. But also, where is any talk about audio? We talked about how they customized like characters, how realistic the character customization is, like how precise all the graphics and movement and fluent. I mean, it all sounds incredible, but not a lick of audio. So if you don't remember last year, if you didn't play MW 3 at release last year, especially Warzone, you could not hear anything. Like gunshots were so quiet, footsteps were just non-existent, dead silence wasn't needed. It was hands down the worst audio had ever been in Call of Duty that I can ever remember. It's funny, I like back in the day, I never remembered audio being a problem in Call of Duty until recent years. Really until people started going on Twitter like, oh man, footsteps are too loud, I suck at COD and I can't do anything when someone hears me and they turn around. That's when audio really started to fall apart. But I'm very curious to know what audio is like in this game. No one's mentioned it. It's a big factor for me. It's super important. That's why we wear like really nice headsets and have nice gear. I mean, it definitely is the second half to this game that's massive. Obviously, visuals are huge, UAV's huge, audio is the second half of the battle. It really helps you hone people in. So hopefully that's good. Again, in my opinion, it's a con. We don't know anything about it. We know that wild cards are coming back for perks. We know about Gunsmith being 5 attachments. With a wild card, it's 8 attachments. I think that's great. It's not the pick 10 system. I wasn't really the biggest fan of pick 10 system. I could care less if there is or is not a pick 10 system. But another thing on my cons list, we've heard nothing about perks, which I don't expect them to like spill the beans on all of it, but we learned genuinely nothing about it. So not sure how I feel about that going into the new game. Obviously, August 28th should answer that question. One thing that August 28th probably won't answer, because they're only going to showcase what they think is going to be visually the best and the most memorable, are maps. So further down on this list right here, it talks about the 16 new maps that are being added. Well, if it's let's see, 12 6v6 and 16, you know, or like whatever, 4 2v2 and or 6v6 maps. They're called strike maps. But here's the problem I'm noticing with this. It looks like from all the photos you see of different maps, there's a lot of color. I mean, it looks like there's great color, and that's huge. I think that's nice. But they also mentioned how most of the multiplayer maps are going to come from the campaign. We actually talked about this in the campaign video, if you haven't seen that yet, where I dive into this a little bit in depth. The problem with maps deriving from campaign missions, like legitimately, like if this square, if this, my hands are the whole map, and they, cut out this section and go, okay, this is a multiplayer map, like a cookie cutter map. It's not good. And the only reason I say that, they put so much emphasis and detail towards the campaign, but they're not building the campaign with the emphasis of multiplayer. They're building the campaign with the emphasis of the storyline and how that will play out versus AI, not players. So they can say like, oh, well, these maps obviously 3 lane, traditional multiplayer maps, but that's the main issue with modern day COD that a lot of people, I can honestly say I've never heard another creator talk about this, but the fact of the matter is multiplayer maps that come from campaigns never do well and everyone complains about them. I think that is the sole purpose. We saw MW3 go, hey, let's go back and use all of the maps from OG Modern Warfare 2. 90% of those maps were not campaign missions. Even Terminal, you had the no Russian mission. Terminal wasn't even the same feel like the game at all. Like the whole area was not the same vibe. Like nothing about it. It was inspired by the campaign, but it wasn't cut from the actual campaign map like we see with these new CODs. It's very lazy. Old COD maps used to be unique to what they were. They might be inspired by something in the campaign, but they were completely and utterly unique. We do not see that anymore. It drives me crazy. If you look back at DLC for COD back in the day, you look at Black Ops 1 DLC, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3 DLC, Black Ops 2 DLC. The maps were so fun and so creative. Like Zoo, I don't know if anyone remembered, that was such a cool map, man. There were interactive animals, there was all kinds of things. They had one that was, I think it was called Carnival or Circus, whatever the hell it was. It was like it was called Amusement Park, and it was genuinely like a giant amusement park. You run up the roller coasters. I mean, super unique maps for the time zone they came out with, and they're not touching shit on that anymore with these maps. They just reskin and bring back, reskin and bring back. And I think Call of Duty is selling themselves short with that, because those maps, when they come back, they're really fun for just a little bit for the nostalgia. Everyone gets that hit of nostalgia and it's great, it's golden. But when that nostalgia wears off, like it did 10 years ago, when it, the map gets old, everyone wants something new, and they don't want something they've already played in the campaign. New is new. So I'm really hoping when it comes to maps this year in Call of Duty, that the team can genuinely get creative and make some memorable maps. It's very baffling, I think, to have a billion-dollar corporation not be able to pump out creative maps. I mean, that kind of throws me off for a loop. Like Black Ops 1, DLC 3, I want to say it was, maybe the last DLC, I think it was called Annihilation. Regardless, they had a DLC map. It was a giant par 5. If you don't know what that is, it's the largest hole size in golf. It was a giant golf course. Like it was one hole. It was so much fun, and on top of that, you could play golf. You could take your pistol out or a sniper as a driver. The different caliber gun worked to shoot the ball farther as if it was a golf club, and you could legitimately tee off with your friends in a private match and play golf. That's creative. We don't have anything like that anymore. So they got to do something about that, man. I think they need to kind of hone in that creativity a little bit. It's a perfect time frame for it. We got the 90s. I think about like skate rinks, all kinds of things that pertain to the 90s. That could be so much fun. Malls, I mean, anything. Just, I genuinely don't want to see everything just cut from the campaign. Because they mentioned that you'll see a lot of the maps, from campaign. It's like, you can assume it's going to happen, but they've already stated it. So, looking forwards in this game, I hope the maps don't feel stale like they usually do, because we have already played through them in campaign. Hope the design and layout's great, but I hope when it comes to DLCs this year, we're not just getting reskins, and we genuinely get a real taste at some of the old school creativity that made COD nostalgic. Like the reason Call of Duty, like people have such fond memories. I thoroughly believe the memories that were built on old school COD are because of their creativity they had then, and not based on like weapon skin and operators and all the collaborations and shit like COD's doing Gundam right now. They have nothing to do with each other. Like, what are we doing here? I get it makes a ton of money and it's like collaboration and advertising, branding, you know, the marketing, I get it. But Call of Duty used to be creative as shit for their maps and for their playstyles, everything, and I would love to see that come back. So that's my biggest con for Black Ops 6 as of right now. Map creativity seems to be a never-ending cycle that hasn't been broken in about 10 years, man. We need to get that back and get it going. I mean, Black Ops 3 was probably the last good Black Ops with super, super unique maps. Cold War had some pretty good maps, but Black Ops 3, man, like Redwood, awesome, man. You had the EXO running, you could literally run around trees and like all the boardwalks and stuff that connected all the trees. You could go underneath the boardwalks with the exosuit, go from tree to tree, stay low. I mean, it's super creative, man. That was a really, really, really solid map. I just hope we see more of that. I really do, and I have faith, man. I have confidence in Call of Duty. You know, if we got a Call of Duty YouTube channel, and if this thing's gonna grow, man, the game's got to come back to life, and I'm hoping this will do it. But look, if you're new to the channel, enjoy the content, man, hit that sub button, push that like button, and I'll catch you all tomorrow for another heater. Let's get a game.